Greetings, gentlemen.
How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here with you guys. I guess before we get started with some questions, let's just get to know each other.
Yep.
John, why don't you go first and tell me about yourself, and Vip, you'll go next, and then I'll tell you quickly about myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm John Barker. I'm from Rockridge County, down in Southern Virginia. I'm a VMI graduate of class of 2023, and I'm a DevOps engineer over at Knack Works over in Chantilly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Vip?
I work at CALIBRE Systems. I'm the AFCEA Emerging Leader Vice President, soon to be President. I'm running unopposed, so hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case. But I work at CALIBRE Systems as a product sales rep, and been in public sector sales for the last 10 years.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Mike Black. I'm retired Air Force. I did 26 years active duty. I say 30 years because I went 4 years at the academy, the other military school. Okay,
Fair enough. All
right. But then spent 10 years in the private sector, and I've been at AFCEA now for 3 years as the Vice President for Defense. Now, you both mentioned you were emerging leaders and leaders of emerging leaders. John, you're the president, or going to be the president of the emerging leader chapter?
Sure. So I was the first president of the chapter.
Okay.
And then I graduated, stepped down because I'm not there nearly as much. Northern Virginia is a little bit farther away than Southern Virginia.
Okay.
And then the president kind of sweet-talked me into being a little bit more involved again.
All right. And then you're getting ready to take over?
I was looking to take over becoming the president for AFCEA Emerging Leaders. We got involved when I first started in the industry for Central Maryland.
All right.
And then I think moved into jobs and then wasn't more as involved, but now I'm back with the organization.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate you guys leading those organizations. I'm passionate about mentorship, and so seeing the emerging leaders and what they do and what they bring to the table is exciting to me. I've attended some of the emerging leader events. I believe I've seen you at some myself.
Definitely got to meet other emerging leaders from across the country at the award ceremony Monday evening as well.
All right. Well, good. Well, let's get to the questions.
Absolutely.
Sounds good, sir. So we have extensive experience in the highest levels is where you have been, right? So with some of the roles struck me is your AFCEA biography discussed a no-fail telecommunications service for high-ranking public servants.
All right.
So would you be willing to talk about how that contrasts to some of the agile CIDC, where it says fail fast approach, comes from, and how we can do that?
Well, sure. Well, first of all, no fail came from my job description at the White House Communications Agency, providing IT and communication services for the Executive Office of the President. I was there under the last 2 years of President Bush, 43, and the first 2.5 years of President Obama. So about 4.5 years. I was deputy commander for 2 years and then moved up to be the commander. And so that's where the no-fail came in. The president has to be the head of state, the chief executive, and the commander-in-chief anytime, anywhere. And so my team gave him that capability to do that. So that's where the no-fail comes in. Then you mentioned fail fast. And I associate fail fast with innovation. And so in today's world, technology is rapidly increasing, and in order to be able to use that technology, folks are encouraged to test things out there, try things out, and fail fast so that we can find out what's going to work and what might be applicable in the DoD or in the federal government. Now, combining those aspects together, I think, is important. You obviously want to no fail because you want to be perfect and have reliable communications all the time. But bringing in that innovation and so that folks can try things, and you'll hear, fail fast. Even the DoD, the current DoD CIO or performing duties as the CIO, Miss Katie Harrington, she's used that terminology about fail fast. And so for industry to really get out there and try their new wares, if you will, innovation, I think that's where the fail fast comes in.
Do you believe that it also aligns with where having like an agile methodology of having software development or come into play? Because I know as in my role as emerging Mr. Bill Helfworth has pushed his organization to go down that route of agile methodology acquisition, whatever the case may be.
Right. Now, I think agile is important. I mean, if you take the word agile just as its definition, it means being flexible to me, or having multiple ways of doing things and trying things, and not have a rigid straight line path to accomplish the mission. And so that agile allows flexibility, allows creativity, it allows ingenuity. When you bring all of that together, you can bring a better solution to the government or to the user.
Good. That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So my sister is 12 years old.
Okay.
And she loves everything about her technology, her
Okay.
tablet, her Switch, everything about it, and it doesn't have the slightest clue on who she's talking to, right, on what information she could put out there. And so do you have any thoughts how we can help primary education capture interest of cybersecurity?
Well, I think, you mentioned she's 12 years old. What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah. So, when Sarah is playing around with her tablet or her smart device, I mean, she is actually learning technology, and will later be able to apply that to something that, maybe you and I are more familiar with today. And so exposing kids to technology, I think, is very important, allowing them some creativity to do things. I just look back at the time when I was growing up, and how much it's changed today. But those that were exposed to technology were probably going to be the ones that excelled later on, because they are around it. They're not afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's really important. I doubt that your sister is afraid of technology if she's using it on a regular basis. And those are the ones that you would want to help teach others, ones that have the experience, know which buttons to push, and how they can use their thumbs and their fingers and that stuff together. And so I admire that, and I love seeing kids being involved in technology. And in fact, I have 3 kids. They're not 12 years old anymore, but my kids are very good with technology, a lot better than I was. And so I use them to teach me things, and also to teach my mom things. My mom will be 85 this year, but there's things that my kids can do and explain and understand a lot better than I can, just because they've been around this technology. And I imagine things will be very similar with Sarah as she continues to develop.
Sure, absolutely.
And one of the great things is I have friends who kids are 2 and 3, and the way they navigate, like how to use a tablet, how to use a phone, is wild, because we never had the access to that technology when I was growing up. So the fact to watch a 2 or 3-year-old navigate YouTube or whatever the case may be is an interesting in where technology has come.
No, you bring up an interesting point. I mean, I'm out walking, doing things, going different places, and I do see parents or babysitters with kids, and I see the kid on a tablet, and you're right, they navigate it with ease. They know how to hit the back button, go forward, go to a different app, that kind of thing. And then a lot of these smart devices, you can talk to them, today, and so they know what to say and what
order as many of things on Amazon through the Alexas. We've heard many news stories on those.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So one thing that's specific in your biography that really stood out is you focus on providing opportunities and engaging with among industry and academia, where training and education are the hallmarks of AFCEA International events, right?
Right.
And then continuous learning is a highlight of each individual events. And I wanted to heard that education always behind in this field. Do you have an agree with that, or what's your take on that?
I think it's probably a little bit relative. I mean, technology changes so rapidly, and so yes, education to keep up with those changes may be a little bit behind. But we're always, this is where the agile comes in, not just an agile software development. It's important to have that education keep pace with technology, and that's why you see just in the classes today, the class for this year's whatever computer science course, may be different next year because there's a change in technology. And so I think to keep pace, I mean, there are people that will say that education does lag behind technology, but I see it, continuing to move and catch up as technology continues to go, education continues to go. You asked about the training and all that. All of that is important. I think the more that you can teach folks to do things, the better off they're gonna be in the long run, and it becomes repetitive as they're learning.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Especially, I mean, I was helped supported the hackathon at Fort Belvoir Elementary, and seeing fourth graders see it, I was like, this would be awesome. They were looking forward to it, which is also a great to start them young, right? We're seeing in an organization, we hear the government speak. There's this large lacking of workforce in cyber. Right. Starting them young, I feel like is helps that, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, and we even have some of the young folks come to our trade shows or our large shows. I know, for example, out at West in San Diego, for 2 years running, there's been a couple of young. They happen to be brothers that come, and their dad brings them there, and it's fun to engage them and see what they have going on. And in fact, they actually conducted an interview with me a year ago out there, so that's fun. And then also with our Signal Kids magazine, if you ask our president and CEO, Susan Lawrence, Lieutenant General retired, she talks about being interviewed in her different capacities, and she says that the hardest interview that she's ever had has been a young kid from Signal magazine, and so the curiosity and the interest of the kids is important.
You both mentioned training, and so I'm going to piggyback off that. And where we're talking about some certifications, especially in the IT and cybersecurity realm. What are your thoughts on certifications? Like, are there big ones to look out for? What are we looking at?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, I think certifications are important. That it kind of serves as a benchmark to show, where you are, what you're capable of doing, what you know. And a lot of times folks that are hiring folks, they look at certifications to see if somebody's going to be qualified, because that specific certification may be used in the function of the job. So the short answer to your question is yes, certifications are important. Now there's tons of certifications out there, right? And you could stay busy all day trying to garner all of these certifications. So you need to figure out what's important for your job, your professional development, and seek those certifications. There's also, along with certifications, and I don't know if we're going to get into this later, but the continuing education that units that are provided at our events are also methods of gaining that experience, whether it's Cert Nexus or JIAC, those kind of organizations. They partner with us to provide those continuing education certifications, and that's really one of the the benefits of being a member of AFCEA and coming to our events. And I might get into that a little bit later. I think there might be another question on. There are plenty of benefits, a ton of benefits of being a member of AFCEA. I spoke about a few, but you can find many on our website at www.afcea.org/membership, and you can find more things about AFCEA on that webpage.
Yeah, I think one thing I do have seen as someone who's graduated back in 2014 is, because I think there was a big push for, we'll hire students with a degree, but now a self certification in a particular capability is a lot more valued than just practical knowledge, because you got more hands-on versus practical knowledge.
No, that's a valid point. I mean, we just had a cyber summit workforce, a DoD cyber summit workforce. We discussed that. There was talk about whether or not a degree is required or whether or not an experience is required. And nowadays, the experience, particularly that a cyber operator or a cyber professional gets, that experience can go a long way in that person's qualifications or their capabilities. And so it might not just be all education or book related, college degree or that kind of thing. So I think it's a combination of that. And I want to make sure that I'm not discounting the value of education and the value of a degree. I think that is very important. to have, but also that experience that you get
Correct.
is important. And it really depends on the job that we have, the tasks that we give folks to do, and what their qualifications may be.
Yeah, and I definitely see that, especially in cybersecurity, right, where you may not have that hands-on experience in your classwork as
Right.
much, but say if you get a certification, it may be a lot deeper and diver because you can then do like the labs or the practicals that you can do to test your knowledge base as well.
Absolutely.
So what advice would you have to anyone currently in school or recently out of school? How do they get into the cyber and IT world? I know I have friends who've started in the liberal arts and then transitioned to the tech side because of where it's going.
Right.
And and again, back to what you were saying, certifications gives them that entry point where they may not have thought that they could have done
Right.
previously.
So, I mean, the advice I'd give to the folks is one, find a mentor. I always talk about coaches, mentors, and sponsors. And, coach to me is somebody, if you're playing sports, until you keep your elbow in and follow through on your shot and that kind of thing. A mentor is likely somebody who has been there and done that, maybe got the T-shirt and then can help, guide those individuals through a professional development, opportunity. But it goes back to what we were talking about as far as experience and certification. You may have somebody who has a liberal arts degree, but is a big fan of computers and hacking and that kind of stuff. And so they're going to likely be somebody who is happy to be around computers, who's good at it. And so we hire those folks. I say the government industry and academia all will be looking for people with that kind of experience. And so if you're interested in IT, there's plenty of opportunities out there. Don't quote me on this number, but I've heard that there are 700,000 job titles out there, job vacancies with cyber in the job title somewhere.
And I think it may be 2 years ago. I think that number was at 600,000. If I remember correctly, on one of the shows they mentioned that.
So there's opportunities out there. There's even if you follow what's going on today in the world, the investments in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and just how we are using technology. There's lots of opportunity. You can't really shake a stick at anything out there today that doesn't have technology involved in what they do, whether it's flying airplanes, whether it's medicine, whether it's actual computers, all of that kind of stuff. There's technology, artificial intelligence that's involved in that. So there's plenty of opportunities. But the biggest thing I think is really finding a mentor. Somebody that can help guide you, somebody that you can lean on for questions, and then somebody who can reach out and promote you for opportunities or present your resume to folks that they know, because their network may be a little bit greater because of their experience.
Yeah, definitely, and I think especially being on the board with the Emerging Leaders, from where I am in my career versus where I started, I can definitely see what my network has looked like and help support it, and that's something definitely awesome about.
Good deal.
So you talked about AFCEA before,
Yes,
and you wanted to not say a whole lot because this is the question. There are a whole bunch of other organizations that just don't seem to know about AFCEA, like smaller companies.
Right.
Like the company I work for does not. How would you recommend you get the word out about AFCEA to these places?
No, absolutely. I think first of all, AFCEA, we have upwards of 30,000 individual members of AFCEA. We have up over 1,600 corporate members of AFCEA. So I say the onus is on us, all of these folks that are involved, not just the folks that are here at AFCEA International headquarters with me, not just the folks that are out at chapters like you or the Emerging Leaders. I think we all have to be able to communicate and know the value of AFCEA and be able to spit that out on demand to folks. When you're talking to somebody, you meet somebody at a conference that is there but may not be a member, but maybe on the edge of becoming a member. Let them know the value. We talked about continuing education. We talked about the bringing the government and industry and academia together. I call that a trifecta of bringing those entities together. And you listen to senior leaders today, they're talking about the value and the need for that collaboration between government, industry, and academia. There's not a day that goes by when one of those senior leaders, whether they're in the information technology, the CIO, the CISO responsibilities, they're going to be out there talking about the need, for that collaboration. Now, specifically for AFCEA, for me, I anticipated this question, so I have this. I usually do carry this with me in my backpack, but it talks about the individual membership, and it also talks about corporate membership. Corporate and individual membership, and I always, when people ask me about the value of that and what am I going to get out of it, I tell them, this is what it's going to cost, and then I go through all the things that you get for being a member. And when I walk the floor and talk to industry folks and find out the leads that they get or the contacts that they get, the value that they get, they're also going to be salespeople for us because their experience has been great. But the onus is on us, the 30,000 people that are members. If you're happily satisfied with what you're doing, and obviously I believe both of you are, that you're involved in being emerging leaders, tell people the value. I've actually done another podcast where somebody asked me about the value of AFCEA when I first got here, and I was happy to do that, and I shared that with my network of folks. So,
yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Definitely. I can definitely say AFCEA has supported me, because not only as an emerging leader, having helped meet with senior leaders, but also building that relationship, right? You're going to be working with these individuals or the future leaders that are going to be leading our government in a lot of ways.
Yeah, are either of you familiar with TechNet Emergence that we have coming up? It's going to be in July, the 15th and 16th of July here in Reston. It's on emerging technology, so it's a little bit different than our traditional TechNet Cyber, TechNet Indo-Pacific, where we're more talking about the here and now. But that's the opportunity for folks that are involved in emerging technology to come and be able to speak to government what your technology is, and maybe it may be something that they're interested in. I anticipated this. I'm an anticipating type person as well. I anticipated you guys might want to know about that. So here's the card on TechNet Emergence with the code on the back, that QR code, so you can share that with your network.
Yes. So that's at the Reston
Yes, it's at the Hyatt in Reston in the town center.
Yep, great spot.
Yes.
I'll need GPS. I'm still not used to all the different buildings and up here.
Okay. Cool. We can get you some coordinates.
I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
All right. Well, do you have anything else that you want to ask me? I appreciate the opportunity. I love being around.
One of the things is you were the White House Communications, and especially with 9/11, that capability of having that no fail was there before. Is that what triggered that response to being able to be connected wherever the president is?
So I think, White House Communications Agency has been around for 80 plus years. And so, supporting the president and providing that reliable communication anytime, anywhere has really been the foundation. But, I came aboard in about 2007, the summer of 2007 at the White House Communications Agency. But I had been doing communications and cyber my whole time. That aspect of, handing the president a phone and making sure that the right person's on the distant end, it's secure and reliable for that anytime, anywhere. Whether the president is going to get shave ice with his daughter, and whether the president is going to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, whether the president is in Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or Qatar, as I believe the trip is going on right now. All of those kind of things are important, but you have to have that reliable communication anytime, whether they're on Air Force One, whether they're in the motorcade, whether they're back at the hotel, whether they're back having a bilateral talk. You still have to be able to provide that anytime, anywhere. And it takes that team of folks. I mean, there's 1,200 plus folks that are a part of the White House Communications Agency, mostly military, but there are civilians and contractors that are part of that team, and they work hand in hand to make sure that happens.
That's awesome. That's great.
You don't ever want the president to say, "Can you hear me now?"
You don't want. You definitely don't want to. You definitely don't want. That'll definitely be an internet law for sure.
Yes.
One of the other things you have a dancing side to you.
Oh my goodness!
2 years ago, I witnessed a dance across the
stage.
The stage.
Yeah. So Lauren Knausenberger, who was the Department of the Air Force CIO,
Yeah.
I did a fireside chat with her. She and I went to the same high school at different times.
Okay.
I'm a teeny bit older than her, and so just to get the crowd going, I was like, "Hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? What's going to be our attention getter?" And she said, "Well, I'll just ask you what time it is when we get ready to get started." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Oh, so you want me to respond with it's hammer time?" Because I mean, we had been talking about that, and so yeah, that was the agreement. She asked me what time it was. I said it was hammer time. I got up and kind of did my version of the MC Hammer dance, and she rapped the words to the song. She knew the song verbatim, so it was a lot of fun. And but that goes to the point about relationships and talking and knowing people, and so the story there is that I talked to Ms. Knausenberger last week. We talk pretty regular, and she's now a senior executive with SAIC, but she's still heavily involved in AFCEA and in our organization and with our board, and so those relationships matter.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't know that was going to be a question.
It got brought up last week.
All right.
It got brought up at the conference.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody said it.
Yeah. Well, good deal. All right.